That's better. I've unmuted myself. Morning all, evening all, wherever you are in the world. I'm Phil, I'm the Down Under Maker. Thank you for Jeremy and Keela for chucking everybody across to my channel. I know a lot of people are going to be dual streaming with Zombie. That's cool, I get it. He's got prizes, I don't. He's a cool guy. I'm just some bloke down under. We've got Nick, who says it's all rigged. Yes, it's all rigged. Can't stay long, don't knock it. That's all good. So today I'm just doing an ad hoc stream purely and simply because my extruder on my Ender 5 that I've been doing all my 3D sets for, it died last week just before my stream, and I had to replace it in a hurry. Hi Cassandra, this is my first YouTube raid. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that stuff. Thanks, Jeremy. 3D&T, hi. XP cheater. I don't know if XP and stuff is all set up here. People have this thing called tabs on their browsers, but some people watch on their phones, Liz. Hi, Pop-Away. So, 2 weeks ago, tomorrow, I started having troubles with my extruder, and it started basically extruding what was closely akin to a Brillo pad. It was all like a spider's web or a bird's nest, and it was unusable. So I had to quickly replace the H2V2 just before my stream with a spare I had in the drawer. And today I'm going to play with my new digital microscope so we can have a good close look at the internals and see if we can work out why it just wasn't gripping the filament anymore. Have I worn it out with carbon fiber filament? Maybe. Is it just that something's fallen out inside there? I don't know. So for those of you who are new, I have a very scuffed up setup. That's my Voron. That's my Boxturtle, which is almost ready, and we might play with that later if people are still hanging around. Behind me is my Ender 5 that I've been printing all my 3D set stuff on, and we'll go from there. 3D&T printing, is there another chance to get #1? Is there any XP on this one? I don't know if XP is running on my stream. I may not be big enough. Let me know. So, first of all, let's switch over to this one so you can see my digital microscope. And it's currently plugged into the USB interface on my server. So hopefully in a moment when I click it, it will appear as a camera for the system and you guys will be able to, yeah, it works. It's just a spanner. Yep, we can see it up close and personal. So hopefully that's going to make life a little simpler. I'm still here. It looks like that camera has completely frozen. Sorry guys, I set this up in an awful hurry. So I've just restarted the little side camera. And we'll see what happens with that. Wake up, wake up. It's all plugged in, but it's not drawing any current. All right, we'll worry about that later. Let's turn it off for now so it's not distracting. So this, let's go back to the overhead for a minute. This is my H2V2 extruder that was on my Ender. This is the motor. That's the heat break heatsink, and in the middle is all the drive stuff. Let's take it apart and see if we can find anything loose in there. Now, normally on this end there's a fan for the heatsink, but that stays with the printer for ease. Nick, I ordered a very cheap digital microscope from. This is a very cheap digital microscope from AliExpress too, Nick. This was about $45 US in the Black Friday sales last year. Ooh, shavings and stuff. Let's bring this in and see if I can get focus. Lots and lots of shavings in that bearing, and that bearing wasn't sitting in its location properly. Tweezers. I put my tweezers somewhere. Oh well, find them later. But there's lots and lots of maybe metal, maybe plastic shavings all over that bearing. So that could be fun. Toss the skin. The more active you are, the better, definitely. The more you chat and stuff, the more it counts towards me hopefully getting monetized sometime in the not too distant future. So I think what I need to do is see if I can, oh, that's all press fit. That's not going to come out. So what I'm seeing here is that is a press fit rivet. And so is that. That's a press fit. So under normal circumstances, flick the lever towards the brass fitting for the PTFE, and that's locking the engagement in place, and pulling the lever away from the fitting, that's what disengages the filament drive. It doesn't disengage it very well, and I suspect that loading and unloading has done some damage and worn things quite significantly in there. How can we clean this? Let's start by taking the brass fitting off. Let's go to the overhead for that. I'm surprised Liz isn't heckling. Feel free to heckle, Liz. I heckle on your stream a lot. Oh, that might be only press fit at the top. Something's moving around. That wiggled off, and it's got a bush bearing. I really don't want to adjust that tension spring if I can avoid it, so I'm going to leave that in place. Let's go back to the mag scope, and you'll see. So what looked like a rivet isn't actually a rivet, it's just really tightly pressed onto a very nice bronze bearing inside the arm. Yes, it's a H2V2 Revo. When they launched, I picked one up off AliExpress. I was one of the first 10 buyers, and I managed to get like 80% off or something. And then I happened to win a second on a stream that they had. So the one I won, that just went in a drawer for spares because I had no direct need for it. And yeah, so I had a spare. I'm just going to have a look at the rest of this while I've got it apart. Hopefully not losing anything. Let's find something to put all these parts in before I do lose something. PTFE fitting. Drive gear. Now, if I can get this other camera to work, it is alive. Let's turn it back on. Wake up. It's alive. I can see it's alive. All right, I'll reboot it one more time, see what happens. Yeah, I've just tipped this up and a crap load of filings and dust just fell out of it. Let's go back to the overhead. You probably can't see it, but here there's a very big patch of nasty black powdery stuff, which looks like it's got little metal shavings amongst it. It's probably mostly black filament because that's largely what I print. There you go. I can smudge it and you can see it better. Here, now it's all over me. Let's put the drives in there, put the screws in there, put that bearing back in there. That camera still isn't happy, is it? Let's try changing it here. Biddy! How are you guys? There we go. Start virtual camera. And you can see me. Okay. Let's get rid of that. You can see my hand. So that's all the goo that's just come out of the camera, out of the extruder. And if I can hold this up to the light, there's lots of crap still stuck in there. So I'm thinking that the extruder was just slipping because it's absolutely full of this goo. And the best way to clean that is probably going to be ISO. I'm going to show you this nastiness in a minute, but it all seems to be washing out quite nicely with the ISO. So you can, all that black debris in the ISO pool has just washed out of the inside of the extruder. There you go. See that pool of nasty? Calling Beardy Flocky's not very nice, Tulsa. So I think what this shows is you need to maintain these things a lot more often than I've been doing. And certainly if you're using abrasives. Now, you might be freaking out going, oh my God, he's spraying his extruder full of liquid. It's ISO, it's all going to evaporate. So don't stress that. That bearing's captive by the drive gear, so that's not coming out. So what I'll do is post-stream is I will get my act together, I will get the hairdryer out and I'll warm this up. Actually, I've got my heat gun right here I can do it with. I was going to steal my wife's hairdryer, but my heat shrink heat gun will do that trick quite nicely. So let's go back and have another close look under here so you guys can see. So that bearing is still covered in a little bit of goo, which I'm going to finish up cleaning after stream. But it's icky. I don't think any amount of rinsing is going to get that out. I think it's going to be some little cotton swabs. That is a little bit better, but not great. Ew. Slimy. Beverage in hand and wife tucked in. That sounds like a good way to be. Although my wife is in the room next door, she's probably listening to me yabbering on going, why is he talking to nerds on the interwebs again? Because I normally stream when she's at work. But when Jeremy and Keela were streaming and I had the day off, I was like, I need to make the most of this. Let's get rid of that ISO, let it evaporate over here out the way where I'm not breathing in the fumes. I'm going to quickly evaporate that. So I'm going to mute you guys for 1 sec. Sorry, I know that's a little bit loud in the background. It'll turn off in 5 seconds under its own self timer. Hopefully. And it's off. There we go. So, I think for now, I have to put that to one side and wait for that to finish evaporating. And then I will put that all back together. Bullet rye. Yeah. Dude. Scotch whiskey, man. Rye's nasty. Put that over there and that over there. So, did you guys want me to show you the modification I've been doing to my Boxturtle? Oh, yuck it. Do you guys want me to show you the modification I'm planning for my Boxturtle? I was like, why is there smoke? I accidentally turned on my second heat set iron at the same time as the heat gun. That's all right. It's just the ABS off the tip. So you want me to take apart this box? So give me one moment while I power this off. Now, for those of you who haven't been around for my Boxturtle streams, it was my very early attempts at streaming and learning how to get all this sort of stuff right. Some of my streams, especially at the very beginning, were very, very bad. And as a result, I was concentrating more on streaming than I was on putting the parts together in some cases. And I should have been doing a little bit more measuring than I did. Has that camera gone off again? Yeah, that camera's gone off again. It'll wake back up, hopefully. So, what I found out was, after measuring the 8mm shafts that are in the respoolers, I found out they're about 1.5mm longer than the spec. They're supposed to be exactly 80mm. Some of them are 80.1, some of them are up to 80. HubSpot is doing crazy stuff. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. All right, that's all reset. So the shafts are a little bit too long. And what that means is some of them are rubbing on the chassis. So the green wheel here is rubbing on the blue edges of the trays, and that has been causing me binding up issues. That one's fixed. That one is all right. That one is jammed up tight. And that one has had the fix done and that rolls all right. So it's this one we need to take apart. And basically what I've done to alleviate the issue is I've drilled a hole in the end caps. I'll show you in a second once I strip it apart. to give me that little bit more clearance available. Flip it over. Now, one thing you have to be super careful of with these is you can't just lay the unit down on the spooler. That's not going to work. Something a bit more secure than that. There, that's better. So it was this one. Now, to remove the respooler, you have to carefully remove the spooler trigger mechanism. You have to undo the PTFE, and then there's 2 screws. It's so your hand gesture. I wish I'd had this set up. Let's turn that a little bit more, you can see me a little bit better. I wish I'd thought about this setup when I first started putting these together. But I don't think I had the second op spot by then. So 2 and 3/8 over here in the corner. Remind me if I can't find them. Then the spooler unit itself, you have to rock out because it has to rotate as it comes loose. And that sounds easy, but it really isn't. There we go. Yeah, shortening the shafts would be basically a non-starter short of getting a proper lathe or mill onto it, and I don't have access to those at the moment. So the trick for making life simpler is just simply to drill the center of the hub out. What that does is it allows you to get the hub ever so slightly closer to the center, because as you tighten the wheel down, it slowly pulls it against the end of the shaft, pulling the black, what is supposed to be the drive of the hub, away from the center. And yeah, it all looks good in theory, but it doesn't actually work in practice, unfortunately. So where's my 8mm drill bit? There. When I first came up with this idea, I was a heathen about it, and I used a step drill because I was just irritated. Is that the 8mm? That's not that 8mm. That's the 8mm. Yeah, I took a step drill to it. But then when I worked out that it did actually work, I was like, okay, that makes sense. I know I'm going to get criticized because I use Ryobi. With an orbital sander would take forever. And if you're doing it right, it really should be in a lathe. So that side is done. Now, I know I've got my vise here somewhere. I was using it yesterday. Oh, and good news. I'm almost caught up on all the 3D sets printing, getting everything ready for tomorrow. It took me 2 goes to print the hood, or for everybody else in the world, the bonnet of the truck, because my filament got very, very wet. And it started to look like the surface was covered in popcorn. Let's go to... Come on, focus, there we go. Nasty surface. So 14 hours in the filament dryer. That's even worse. Yeah, 14 hours in the filament dryer, and the filament printed much more nicely. So this is post-drying. While there's a few surface artifacts from my setup, that's a lot better. So the reason for the vise is to get the second half of the hub off, you have to clamp the shaft. It's just going to spin on me. So around about now, you wish that LDO had got their act together and actually machined these shafts to be decut. Because I doubt I'm ever going to get that out. I really need to get myself a mill, but I can't afford to do the cascade anytime soon. Let's just hope that now I've got that end sorted out, I can get the other side close enough and it all works. Let's go back to that one. So what I've just done is just tweaked the hub closer to the center. And now that there's the hole in the end of the drive wheel, it's not going to try and pull the hub away from the center anymore as I tighten it up. Being super careful that I don't upset the heat sets. Pop that all back together. Hammer. You and your hammers, dude. I mean, if I was doing this right, if I was being Steve Builds about it, I would actually just reprint another one and destroy this. But at this point, I'm a little bit over the Boxturtle, so I'm just going to go with this, and that should hopefully all now fit properly. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Boxturtle, there's these two wedges which slot inside the slots on the extrusion. So that's why you have to kind of rotate it as it goes into place, so those hook into the gap in the extrusion. Now, while I'm doing this, just letting everybody know that normally my stream times are tomorrow. So Thursday my time, Wednesday night US. And it feels all right. Not as good as some of them, but it's definitely not binding up now. Yeah, so my normal stream time is tomorrow. Still not 100% happy with this. Oh, that's not good. At some stage during one of my one of my disassemblies and reassemblies, I've managed to mangle that wire. So let's do that job right. Let's fix it properly. Soldering iron is right here from yesterday. My overhead camera has a ring light on it. And on that, that's going to need power, so that's fine. The switch for the ring light failed. So it was blinking and doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things. So I had to dismantle it yesterday and solder the switch contacts, just completely solder them connected. Those 2 bits of heat shrink should work. Why do I have a used crimp in that bag? Warm that up. Solder. And it is solder. There is an L in there. Not like you weird Americans with your solder. So wires. Stripper would probably be good. That's right there. So showing you guys what's going on. Is that camera still working? At some stage, I managed to crush the wire, and it's just broken on me. The other thing that a lot of new viewers won't know is that I actually teach science and engineering. It's my day job. So sometimes my students might come across my stream. So when I do things, I will quite often say things like, "Don't do this at school, kids," or "This is Mr. Morris's home time." Don't be doing what I do at home. Now, do I have my flux handy? Now this cable's been annoying me anyway, so what I might do is, seeing as I've got the, oh, I can't do it because I've got to get over that. I was going to put a sleeve all the way down it because for some reason LDO cheaped out and didn't use twin wire. They used 2 individual wires for their cabling. Guys, just spend the extra cent. So that's nice and hot. That's gooey. And the other thing that I would encourage my students to do is that they should have plenty of ventilation when they're soldering. I've got evaporative air conditioning running here at the moment, so the air turnover in this room is about 5 times an hour, so I don't really have to worry about it. But strictly speaking, when you are soldering, you should have active ventilation. Quickly tin the tip, now tin the wire. GTR Dad, hey! Now, is that going to be long enough? My pet peeve that I ping a lot of my students for is not using enough heat shrink. I've cut that too short. I'm just going to go for a big bit. I'm good, GTR Dad. Hi, Brent. Now, again, I'm going to put you guys on mute while I use the heat gun just to shrink that heat shrink. Get both pieces because I've accidentally damaged the insulation there too. So mute you guys. And I'm back again. Okay. The heat gun has a very handy timer counter on the back of it, so that I know when it's going to finish its shutdown cycle. So that cable's all fixed again. Is that camera frozen? It's frozen again. Damn it. I wonder if it's the interference from that heat gun. Let's turn off the soldering iron before I burn myself. One thing they don't tell you about streaming setups is they need a lot more USB plugs than you think. I've got a USB hub I just installed this morning for the microscope just here. So I'm going to connect it to that. And we'll see if that works better. Okay, I'm back. So what I've done is I've just connected the camera that keeps failing on me to the USB hub that I installed. And you didn't need to see me up close and personal, so I swapped across to the dark for a second. Nobody wants to see a close-up on my crutch. That may be my wife sometimes. Will it come back on? That's the question. Yeah, it's back again. So hopefully on that other USB connection, that will be a bit more reliable. Let's tuck those cables out of the way before I do anything silly. So let's put this back together for a second time. Now I apologize if the overhead camera is a little bit out of focus. It's set to focus only slightly above the desktop. Trying to set this up so you guys can see better, but I can also see enough to be able to do the fix. There. There's my two M3/8s. My Allen key is somewhere underneath all that mess, so I'll grab a spare. One, two, three. So the respooler has three wires coming out of it. One is the LED in, one is the LED out, and the other is the motor drive. And it's gone again, hasn't it? It's been quite reliable, and all of a sudden it's just doing strange things. I've reboosted it yet again. We'll see what happens. Now I know this is a bird's nest of wires under here. At this point, I'm leaving it as such until it's all working. And then I'll cable tie it all back. I had it originally all nicely tied up and controlled. But then I had all the problems with the unit. So that is the corner LEDs, which we're not using just yet. They'll go onto a different port shortly. PTFE. Let's tuck that there and there. And now the PTFE can go in. Allen key out before it gets stuck somewhere. And now the most complex part of putting it all back together is just getting this last switch holder in place. So for those of you who haven't been watching the Boxturtle build, there's actually a switch attached to this green piece here, and that's how the Boxturtle knows when you're trying to load it or unload it. And if you get it wrong, then you have to come back under here and realign everything again. So that's all looking good. It seems to match everything else in alignment. That's the turtleneck wires, which I still need to clean up. So yeah, that's all put back together too. Now, one of the other things I'm planning to do with the Boxturtle is these rollers are printed as 2 parts. I can't see a reason why you can't print them. Oh, hi, Malamaker. Bye, Malamaker. I'm going to print these with supports on one end for the bearing, because the bearing hub. With a little bit of support around this surface here, I reckon that could print as 1 part, and then it would be straight, because these don't actually stay particularly straight when you assemble them, in my experience. So that's all back together. Thunder keys. Hi, Thunder keys. Thunder keys knows that I'm nothing but brutally honest when I talk about what I'm dealing with this. Great kit, but there's a few things that let it down. Really needs those D-cut shafts. So that's up the top. Now, what do we want to do? I've got another 20 minutes before I have to finish streaming. We could wind it up here and just call it a day and say, thanks for coming, guys. Or is there anything you want to talk about? Or is there anything you want me to show you about my setup or anything like that? I'm going to try something. The digital microscope has the same cable. So I've rubbed that cable off. And let's see if that comes back. Yeah, I'm continuing the truck tomorrow, Nick. I don't think it's fair for people who ordinarily come at my regular time to see my projects to work on it outside of that time. I mean, I could sit here and pick off bits of support and stuff for you guys, but that's not very interesting. I did finally manage to get my act together and print the missing fuel tanks. That's the hood of the truck. That's the other part of the hood, I think. The one part that I need to print once I finish with you guys is the tray for the back here. But now I've finally got all the files sorted out for the tray. You can start getting a feel for how epic this is going to be. So there's a whole bunch of tray inserts which go in here to kind of hold it all together, and some screws in the top here. And I did also manage to print myself some number plates. This little meat too is not a happy camper. I'm just trying to find the second number plate to show you guys. That's it. Will it focus? Yeah, this meat too has completely curled up its toes. It's not even responding on this other USB cable. Will it show here? Probably not. You can sort of make it out. Oh. It says Down Under Maker, or DU Maker is the number plate. It took me an embarrassingly long time to get that to work. It took me about 2 hours of experimenting to get it to print. The resolution on the slicer worked fine for the standard 3D sets number plate, but to make it do my custom number plate, it was missing off parts of the A, it was missing off parts of the R. It was strange. Shop tour would be cool. The camera I would ordinarily do the shop tour with isn't working, but we'll give it one more try. Back on its original cables. Put that back. Can you see it there? You can kind of make it out. Right, it's visible. Will it work here? Let's go. I'm going to try connecting to it in a different method in OBS and see what happens. All right, it's working for now, so let's see how we go. If it's not the snakes and the spiders, it's the big Wellington. The rest of the world might not be as familiar with what's going on as we are, Brent. There's a lady in Melbourne, Victoria, who decided to poison her ex and his family by picking poisonous mushrooms and then serving them beef Wellington, which is basically a parcel of slow-cooked beef in phyllo pastry, that you also have mushrooms and sort of sorts of stuff with it. So yeah, she laced the beef Wellington with poisoned mushrooms, and now that's all before the courts. So that's you guys. Say hi. Now, I'm not quite Steve Build's levels of parts organizing, but I'm getting closer and closer each week. I'm slowly going around and labeling all my parts bins. Now, a few of the regulars have already seen this, but for all you new guys. So this is all my fasteners, and this is all my electrical and bearings and that kind of things. Now, turning around, that's my V2. That's my heavily modified Ender 5, which is going to be the subject of some streams in a few weeks because it's been beaten up quite heavily doing the 3D sets printing. And this is the pile of stuff that I dump off my desk over here out of the way when I'm going to do a stream. Tires for the truck. And the rest of my stuff, and my very precariously balanced DSLR overhead camera, and my sort of general engineering-y junky stuff over there, and the ERCF, which it works. I just can't be bothered tuning it. It's just been a pain in the backside. So that's my workshop. Now, I wouldn't be a proper YouTuber if I didn't try and show my merch and that sort of stuff. So I do have the Down Under Maker shirts. They're available on my Fourth Wall store. See my channel for the link to that if you want really interested. And on the back, there are various logos. You can have this one on the back of the shirts, or there's this one for the shirts, or there's that one for the shirt. Now, Keela's getting a hoodie sent over to her. And Jeremy isn't very impressed because I did it custom, and it's actually got, let's see if I can show you a picture. It's actually got Keela written on it to make sure that he can't steal it. If I got a picture of it. It might not show very well. But it's got Mrs. Lee Marie 3D and Keela written on it to make sure that Jeremy can't steal it. And why am I sending it to Keela? Because nobody ever sends free clothes to Jeremy, and I'm joining that club. Winter heart disease for a tasty meal. Isn't that what you do every time you go out for a meal these days? So I need to head off because Mrs. Maker is messaging me saying she needs me to do chores. So I would like to thank everybody who's new for coming today. I'd like to say to all those people who come here on a regular basis. Let's go back to that one. And if you want merch, go see my Fourth Wall store. It's downundermaker.fourthwall.com or something like that. But the link is on my channel description. And with that, I will see all my regulars tomorrow, and anybody who feels like coming, please like and subscribe. I'm on my push for 500 so I can monetize and hopefully start paying for some of these projects, which are getting damn expensive. The V0s get much action. Yes, they do get quite a lot of action, but one of them is in desperate need of a new print head. So it's getting a Fatus Apus 2 and the Rapido 2F so that it can print carbon fiber and that sort of stuff much more readily. I've been destroying the Bondtech gears in it on a regular basis by printing too much carbon fiber through it. It's currently got the an Obsidian Revo in it, so the nozzle's fine, but the drive gears are getting chewed up pretty fast on it. So that's all going to happen. And I have some prototype high-speed drivers that I was sent for a beta that I can't talk about the actual details, but I might throw them in there so that we can do crazy, ridiculous speeds with those new drivers just for fun and giggles. All right, I shall see everybody tomorrow. It's time for me to hop on out of here. Bye, guys.